On the slate for today's show, Doc Rivers told John Calipari, "We are not trading your former player from Kentucky, Tyrese Maxey, in any deal that includes Ben Simmons." Bradley Beal, does he want out of the nation's capital, and could he go to the Philadelphia 76ers? Then we'll give a shout out to our loyal subscribers after that call out yesterday when I said, get into the comment section, let me know you're subscribed. We're a channel of Philadelphia. We got you covered. So with that, let's start today's show. You're watching Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. As always, a loaded show coming your way with the NBA trade deadline coming up a week from today. We have you covered with all of your best Sixers coverage. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below. So, John Calipari, head coach of Kentucky, they're a top 5 team, just beat Kansas last weekend, was on the radio show with Angelo Cataldi and the morning team on WIP and had some really interesting things to say about Tyrese Maxey and some conversations that he has had with Doc Rivers. So let's get to those tidbits. Calipari to Angelo said, "I was worried to trade Ben Simmons. They were going to have to move Tyrese Maxey. I said, the way they could move him is, I'll take Ben, but I got to have Tyrese. And I said to Doc, please tell me that's not happening." He said, "It's never going to happen." He said, "Look at my eyes, that will never happen." So I probably shouldn't say that publicly, but John Calipari said it publicly. And it's good for us because it's great content for the channel and for this franchise. It's awesome news moving forward because Tyrese Maxey in his second year is enjoying a breakout campaign. We are enjoying watching Tyrese Maxey, and I said it back in the summer when he was balling out in the Las Vegas Summer League. This guy has star potential because I saw glimpses of that last year in moments, especially in that second round series against the Atlanta Hawks. I was doing some thinking. When I watch Tyrese Maxey, he has that burst. He has that quickness. That reminds me a little bit of Allen Iverson, but you think back to some of the young guards that the Sixers have either drafted or brought in free agency or have had on this roster. Is Tyrese Maxey the most exciting Sixers guard since Allen Iverson? Can you come up with another name? Another young player who has star potential to the likes that Allen Iverson had in the late 90s when he was becoming a star? I'm not saying Tyrese Maxey is going to become the answer, but he's the most exciting and talented young guard that we've had and seen since Allen Iverson, as evidenced by the first 2 years and the jump that he's taken from last year to this year. We've showed this graphic a couple of times this week because we've been talking a lot about Tyrese Maxey because he's really burst onto the scene. In place of Ben Simmons, this offense has had a different dynamic because Tyrese Maxey is a 3-level scorer. He's a great playmaker. And while Ben Simmons does a lot of elite things, he doesn't have the burst or the quickness that Tyrese Maxey has. Of course, Simmons has other qualities and other capabilities that trump what Maxey can do, but really his explosion is truly special, and his shot has really gotten better. Ben Simmons would never. And his finishing ability around the rim is something that I've been really impressed with as well. Also, if we're talking about dealing Tyrese Maxey, and I said it back in the summer, I have receipts on that, go back and check out the video. Would you want to trade Tyrese Maxey for James Harden? I wouldn't. I think it's really smart to compete right now while Joel Embiid is at this special level, first in the NBA MVP odds, while also building for the future. And Tyrese Maxey is a guy who put so much work into his game, and he's really been able to grow that over 2 years. That's why I think the potential for this player is great down the road. And did you see James Harden last night? He was terrible, and I mean terrible, against one of the worst teams in the NBA, in the Sacramento Kings. A Kings team that is on a historic losing streak right now. They're awful. Now, the Nets didn't have KD. They did have Kyrie. But either way, James Harden was terrible. And I've voiced my concerns about how he ages in the future, and that's why I wouldn't want to include Tyrese Maxey in a trade for James Harden. Harden last night in 37 minutes, 4 points, 2 of 11 from the floor, 0 of 5 from deep, a -21. And his body language at the post-game press conference was terrible. And we've kind of seen some of these games from Harden this year as he gets a little bit older. He's never been in the best of shape. He better start prioritizing him being in that shape if he wants to get back, to that elite status. So I think Maxey is the most exciting guard that Philadelphia has had since Allen Iverson. What do you think, though? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get those votes in the comment section down below, and let me know your feelings about the young king in Tyrese Maxey. NBA trade deadline coming your way in a week from today as we record this on Thursday, Valentine's Day. Right after that, on the following Monday, and you can get your girl some really fresh Sixers gear. This two-shirt combo was $50, now on sale for $35, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. I know all of your women, all of your lovely ladies, and your girlfriends are all dimes. They'll be 11s if they're rocking these Sixers shirts. Chatsports.com/76Valentine. Make sure you plug in that link down below for that deal to apply. $15 off on some fresh Sixers swag. Get that deal right now thanks to Fanatics. On yesterday's show, we talked about Bradley Beal. There are more furthering reports about Bradley Beal and kind of the dissentment that he has in Washington, and he's never really been open to a trade before. There have been a lot of trade rumors with him, but the discussion about Bradley Beal being traded and his willingness of him being dealt is probably the realest that it's been in a little while, according to these reports. This first one from Fred Katz. From people I've talked to, I'm not as confident now that he's definitely going to come back. I wouldn't be sitting here betting my life on the fact that Bradley Beal is on the Wizards next season, even though I'm still making them the favorites. Again, this is a little bit of a change because Beal has always been steadfast that he wants to remain in D.C. The Athletic on Bradley Beal. For the first time in a long time, sources close to Beal indicate he's not rejecting out of hand the notion of a trade elsewhere, even though his preference is to remain with the Wizards. And his preference and loyalty with Washington has been very, very similar to Damian Lillard's loyalty to the city of Portland. Both want to stay with the franchises that they were drafted by, but at some point, don't you want to look for greener pastures? Don't you want to go somewhere where you can compete legitimately in the NBA playoffs for an NBA championship? And that's really never been the case for Bradley Beal outside of that 1 year with John Wall when they lost in 7 games to the Boston Celtics in that second round. Now, Beal this year, first of all, he's currently out with an injury, not expected to be a long-term injury, but his numbers have also been down. Now, this is a much different team this year than it was last year. Last year, it was really the Russ and Beal show. This year, it's Beal and Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Montrezl Harrell. They're a little bit deeper, but they're certainly struggling over the last several games, and they came around and beat the Sixers last night in a bad loss for Philly. But as you can see, the shooting numbers down all across the board, from points per game to field goal attempts, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, even free throw percentage. I just think, and we see this in multiple sports, that when a star player like Bradley Beal has been one place and one destination for so long, and they just kind of float in mediocrity, if they get traded somewhere else, they can get rejuvenated. They can get this adrenaline rush. They can feel that they have this new lease on life, and that then leads to them performing better. Beal from Washington, where they don't care about the Wizards, to Philadelphia, where people live for this team and die for this team, I think he'd be able to increase those numbers. I'm just not giving up Tyrese Maxey for Bradley Beal. So speaking of Beal, where do you think he ranks among the NBA's best? That's one of my last questions for you. Beal is a top blank player in the NBA right now. Your duty, get into the comment section and fill in the blank. I also want to give some shout outs to our loyal subscribers. On yesterday's show, I said, if you're subscribed, get into the comment section and type yo, and I'll give you a shout out on the next show. Well, we had a bunch of people show up and show out because Philadelphia always shows up and shows out. I love my city. Peter Thurmond, Mr. Braggadocious, Brad Bowman, Eclipse Productions, Tawan Heinsohn, Kyle Hoffman, James E. Boy, Malachi Keith, Jonathan Nemhard, Teddy Merriweather, Ramon Martin, Green Blaze the Fly Eagle, and Bliv Marsh. Thank you so much for supporting everything that we do here on Philadelphia 76ers Now. As a guy who grew up in Westchester, grew up rooting on Philadelphia, we launched this channel here at Chat Sports back over the summer, and we have a bunch of NBA and NFL properties here under the Chat Sports umbrella, but this has been a little bit of my baby because this is my hometown squad. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, hit that red subscribe button down below. We have you covered with the best Sixers news and rumors.